how are we going to diplomatically put it? Thoroughly explored, perhaps?
Yeah, it is definitely thoroughly explored, but it's still surprising to me that we're seeing so much innovation this late into it. You know, I mean, putting this Izzet deck that just kind of popped up, adding some more cards, making it a Yorion deck is something you even don't see this late in a standard format as this kind of metagaming already. So maybe pretty late into it, but it is going to be really exciting still.
Yeah, look, when coming into this, I characterize this standard format by saying that it's not a format that is going to reward people who are trying to reinvent the wheel. It's going to reward players who are looking to innovate on existing knowledge, to iterate on decks that have already been explored, find new edges with sideboard cards, unique or different innovative approaches to strategies that we have seen. So I don't think we're going to see, again, the wheel reinvented. Difficult to reinvent a wheel. It's just a circle. I mean, what are you going to do? Make it square? That's going to make it a lot worse, in my experience.
Doesn't roll as well. That's for sure.
Doesn't roll as well. Do you think that's how they started? Do you reckon they're like, now here's a square. I'll strap this to a wagon. I wonder if we can improve on this. Anyway, speaking of improving on things, we're seeing Soaring Thought Thief get eaten up by a Saurit coming here. Louis Scott-Vargas certainly saw that one coming. Ruin Crab, however, with what looks like straight away a fetch land, is going to start to incinerate LSV's library. Although a tall order, Corey, given that we are playing a Yorion deck here, 80 cards. I know you love the Sky Noodle.
Oh, I do love a Sky Noodle, and it definitely helps against these rogue decks. You know, we might even see crabs come out because you kind of give up on trying to mill out Yorion decks because it does become pretty difficult, but it still just enables the best card in the matchup, which is Into the Story. So still has a great purpose for game one.
Expressive Iteration, a card that has actually seen a lot of play across multiple formats since it was printed in Strixhaven. Doesn't look all that impressive when you first read, like, oh yeah, okay, sure. But a lot of the time, Corey, it's just a 2-mana divination.
Yeah, and a divination with some, manipulation. You get to actually pick out some cards. This card's been incredible. I went to just buy this card to play at my local game store. $10 uncommon. That really just shows, how great this card has proven to be here in Standard, in Modern, in really every format.
So Ruin Crab here really going to town on the library once again. A tall order, as we talked about, but as you say, there are reasons to fill the graveyard outside of actually trying to mill. So, and getting force spiked as well. You love to see it.
Yeah, always feels bad when you get that. Ooh, counter unless you pay 1. Now, not the biggest deal here because we do just see Into the Story going to be fired off here from Jean-Emmanuel, and that is the card that Luis is just like, that's the one thing I have to stop Jean-Emmanuel from playing, and could have done it, by just holding up Disdainful Stroke. But the problem is then the creatures just beat you down. So you kind of have to pick a lane and deal with what you can at the proper moments. And if they have it, they have it.
So there's the Expressive Iteration into another Expressive Iteration. Luis Scott-Vargas, look, he's going off here. Dark Typhoon in the hand. And this is the play that people love to make with Expressive Iteration, finding that land. Because, it says you can only play it to the end of turn. You try to find a land. That's what you're looking for with that Expressive Iteration. Try to hit your land drop with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely don't see it cast on turn 2 that often for that exact reason. You cast it on turn 3 before you've made your land drop, get the best spell, put a land there, and it really is just a really efficient card draw spell.
Speaking of efficient, Frostbite here is threatening to act as more or less a lightning bolt now that there are 3 snow lands. Looks like it's going to take care of that. Ruin Crab's Soaring Thought Thief takes to the sky. We've got Double Omen of the Sea as well. A very useful card to play in your deck alongside Yorion here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great card there. Looks like we might have shifted just a little bit here.
We jumped ahead a little bit of the way by the look of things here. Not 100% sure what's going on. We will try to get... Did you see the name?
Busted, is it?
Well, I love the confidence of LSV there. It'd be really worrying, Corey, if we cut away to that view and it was just like, garbage, is it? Just in all caps, this deck sucks. That would be...
or is it good? Yeah. You could see it going either way with Luis here. It's either going to be bringing his deck up or a little self-deprecation there.
No, look, it's good to see that he's confident in this list. Corey, talk to us a little bit more about Izzet and the way that it's changed. I mean, it was a known fact. It was a known quantity heading into this weekend, but it has evolved. It has changed. We have seen some innovation.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting because Izzet quite a while back started as just a dragon deck where you're Goldspan Dragon, maybe playing Galazeth Prismari, and trying to be this hyper-aggressive deck. It slowed down to being able to just play a control deck that takes advantage of all these adventure creatures and Winota. That was kind of the main reason that it was brought to that tournament, since Winota was just so popular when it came to the Challengers Gauntlet. And now it's kind of still taking advantage of the same thing, just maybe perfected a little bit, you know, at least the CFB team will say that, you know. Noriyuki Mori may have said, what did you just do to my deck? But as of right now, yeah, it's still just trying to really take advantage of all these green decks. Rogues isn't exactly what it wants to be playing against, though. I think this is a tricky matchup for Luis.
Well, here's a question I want to ask about this list, because, you know, we have seen the adoption of, I mean, I know you're not complaining about Yorion seeing more play, but on the face of it, why are we playing Yorion? This isn't a typical blink deck. There's not lots of different creatures and artifacts and enchantments to blink in and out here. So what's the reason for this, for Yorion and the 80 cards?
You know, I think it was a product of them wanting a little bit more card manipulation. So like Omen of the Sea was an excellent addition. And whenever you play Omen, I think it's just required that you put Yorion into your deck to be able to get that value. And blinking Kioribest the Sea God is another just ridiculous thing that you can be doing. You just win the game on that. And it naturally curves from Kioribest the Sea God into turn 8 by Yorion, cast Yorion, make another 8/8. And yeah, good luck winning after that, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think in so many Yorion decks, we're used to seeing just blinkable stuff all the way down. You know, we're used to seeing Binding the Old Gods, all sorts of nonsense just from go to woe to get value off the Yorion. But the fact of the matter is you can just play it as like, you know, an 8th card, basically, even if it's an expensive kind of clunky one. We're seeing now the game continue. We do apologize for that brief interruption. Prismari Command, another card that has really been doing some work since it was printed in Strixhaven. Just the flexibility of this card, Corey, is what puts it so high on the list for many.
Yeah, that's another card that we're seeing across a lot of different formats as well. You know, just having that many abilities, it's bound to be, two of them bound to be good in a lot of situations. So yeah, Prismari Command is excellent here, especially in these Izzet decks where if you play against, you know, a deck that you don't have a lot of targets for burning hands, or you don't want to be casting a lot of removal, let's say against Sultai Ultimatum or something, just being able to loot away 2 cards is quite the big deal to not have a lot of dead cards.
And that's what I was like, when I looked, I was like, man, this card is just not very good, right? Like you can, the natural comparison is obviously with Kolaghan's Command. Kolaghan's Command from Khans of Tarkir a couple of years ago. Very, very difficult card not to get a 2-for-1 with. You have to go like, shock target my creature and discard target me in order to be down, right? With Kolaghan's Command, right? It's just such an easy card to get value out of. And I look at this Prismari Command, man, this card sucks. What are you doing? It doesn't get you ahead on cards, But then you see it in action, and it actually, you know, loots away those dead cards, as you say, cleans up some boards against aggro, and also that treasure token. It comes in handy when you're ramping towards big stuff like Kioribest the Sea God, Shark Typhoon, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to ramp and stuff like that is very important in these Izzet decks as well. And you said it right. You know, the looting ability is not card advantage. You know, we think back to Faithless Looting. Faithless Looting was not drawing you cards, but it was still one of the best cards, you know, in Modern for a very long time, still doing some great work in Historic. But it really has to be in the right deck. And if it was just a looting, you know, we probably wouldn't see that card. But it's the flexibility that we get from it that makes it really powerful.
Field of Ruin as well. Here's a card that I know is causes headaches for all sorts of people in various formats. Here, it's not doing a huge amount of work, just taking out one of the utilities. Oh, look, I mean, I guess that is doing work, right? There are some pretty good utility lands in Standard at the moment.
Yeah, the creature lands now have proven to be so very strong. You know, Den, the Hive here for these rogue decks, especially for the rogues deck, when there's a lot of escape cards, being able to just animate that and eat up an Ox or eat up a Phoenix of Ash.
Oh, that's true,
that is just incredible. So these Field of Ruins are actually going to be doing a lot of work in this matchup, and makes sense why they played quite a bit of them here. By quite a bit, I mean all of them. They played all 4 here with Team CFB, and this is a control deck.
Yeah, actually, I failed to think of the implications for rogue, because obviously, like with rogues, you want to fill your opponent's graveyard. you don't want to empty it. But when they're bringing the Oxen, when they're bringing the Phoenixes, that sort of stuff, right? having a repeatable and very useful way to get rid of them that doesn't cost you a card, right? You're not playing Cling to Dust or whatever else in order to get rid of those problematic escape cards. Yeah, that's a useful bit of technology, Corey.
Yeah, it really is. And we're going to see a lot of it throughout the tournament, I imagine, where you just go, as the Rogues players, you just kill the escape card, and then during your turn, activate Hive, attack, maybe use a Drown to back it up and make sure it gets through, and eat that card up. And then when your opponent doesn't have escape cards against the Rogues decks, it just feels like you're kind of cheating because the Rogues deck is so powerful and everything's so cheap. All the counter spells are so versatile, and that was the biggest problem for these Rogue decks.
The deck plays like Doomblade counterspell split card, dude. Like the cards, the deck's ridiculous. It's really, really good. Speaking of really, really good, look at this. Yori on the Sky Nomad coming down, threatening to blink 2 Omen of the Seas, but Jean-Emmanuel Depraz says Minnow. And as a result, the Yorion hits the bin. But look, I think at this point, Luis just realizes he's got to fight through as many counterspells as Jean-Emmanuel has here. And is just going to burn threat after threat after threat. He's just going to slam threat after threat until, I don't know, 20 threats assembled, man. I mean, how are you ever getting this through all the counter magic?
Exactly. And that is the big problem for this matchup, in my opinion. Just having 7 mana blue cards against the deck that's running a lot of Disdainful Strokes in the main, Drown in the Locks, and let's not even talk about Mystical Disputes, the 1 mana way to counter a Kioribus the Sea Gods. That's what really makes me scared for Luis in this matchup. Shark Typhoon is going to be probably the best card in this matchup, and we might even see Luis just cycle here to make sure he gets something through and then start Kioribusing the Sea Gods, just because you got to stop these cards. And if Jean-Emmanuel can just counter everything on curve, look, Luis is at 8 already. This is not going to be that long until he's just done.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough position to be in, especially with the Rogues player having 500 million cards in hand. Which removal spell will I use to kill this shark before it can block? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It's going to be Heartless Act, not Power Word Kill.
Yeah, we saw him actually go through. Should I use this Power Word Kill or this one? Nah, we'll go with the Heartless Act. Just an embarrassment of riches up there for Depraz.
Yeah, Depraz thinking, but what if Luis plays an angel later? What if he plays a demon later? No, I think it'll be okay. I'll slam this. All right, Bone Crusher Giant's going to get rid of the 3/2 Thieves Guild Enforcer here, but the Merfolk Windrobber still gets in, and a handful of business for the Frenchman here. 2 removal spells, 2 counter spells. Well, no. 2 counter spells, 3 removal spells, and a reanimation spell, all in a 5-card hand, which isn't bad.
Yeah, Drown in the Lock just gets to fill the void for just so many templates of removal spell, counter spell. It just really does it all. That card is so good.
Surprised it doesn't have cycling as well. Jeez, the card's just out of this world.
That's in the reprint of the next set. They're going to have that, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Power Word Kill now is going to take out the Bone Crusher Giant. Comes at a cost of 2 life. But hey, Jean-Emmanuel has got life to spare. He's on 18, draws a land. Not what he wanted to see, but his hand's still looking very, very good. And this Merfolk Windrobber, man, it's a respectable clock. You don't think of it to look at it, but here, I mean, Luis is at a precarious 6 life.
Yeah, it really is. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see a cycled Shark Typhoon here, even just for 2, leaving up Essence Scouter as your only other counter spell, but, decides not to, maybe trying to bluff a counter spell to try to deal with Into the Story or Agadeem's Awakening. And as it stands right now, we're going to have to cycle from Luis Scott-Vargas the Shark Typhoon and try to counter this. Otherwise, this Agadeem's Awakening is just going to end the game here. There's going to be so many cards milled. We're going to get Luris back because that was cast a lot earlier. And yeah, we see this. It has to be there. And even if it's there, we have the Drown in the Lock. So this is going to be a big problem.
Oh, yeah. Luris, Thieves Guild Enforcer, and a Soaring Thought Thief comes back. That's going to mill some more cards for Luis here and give him an unstoppable army. Ruin Crab. That's going to eat an Essence Scatter. Not on my watch, says Luis. No.
All about these small victories.
A last-ditch effort to try to get something on the battlefield, but there is a Disdainful Stroke, and Luis Scott-Vargas goes down in game number 1. A comfortable victory there for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, playing a deck that has really been at the forefront of Standard ever since it got that critical mass of powerful options from Throne of Eldraine into the story, a really important piece of the puzzle. I mean, the rogue cards from Zendikar certainly help, Soaring Thought Thief, whatever else, but really, you know, it's the Drow in the Loch, it's the into the story that makes this deck what it is.
Yeah, you are so right there. I think they're probably one of the 2 top 5 best cards in the format, and you just get to play both of them in this deck. Yeah. They're just so efficient. Drawing 4 cards is something that has been pretty unheard of. You know, I mean, we've been seeing that on cards like Tidings, a 5-mana sorcery, and that was already a good card. That saw a lot of play. Instant speed 4 mana just makes it so much better. Just the instant speed, even if it was 5 mana, would still see a lot of play, but 4 really makes it just phenomenal.
Oh, I remember Dragonlord's Prerogative. You remember that one from a couple of years ago? That was draw 4, wasn't it? 6 mana draw 4, and it was uncounterable if you revealed a dragon. And that card took some names, man.
You know, I don't remember that one, but I'll take your word for that. But no,
I'm gonna make sure I didn't get that one wrong, but I think I'm right with that.
You are the king of the obscure Magic cards, I must say.
It wasn't even obscure, dude. PV was playing it Esper Dragons. It was a great card. It broke the mirror wide open because you couldn't counter it. That's right. Yeah. As an additional cost to counter, it's a 6-cost instant. Reveal a dragon, or if you control a dragon, your Ojutai, whatever your Silum go. Draw 4 cards, baby. Can't be countered. Get them up, yeah. Get the 4 cards straight in there. Let's go. All right, we see some sideboarding taking place here for these 2 players. Out come the Ruin Crabs, Disdainful Stroke, and Heartless Act. Mystical Dispute. Oh, Skyclave Shade. 3 of.
Just trying to get in
there is that Cling to Dust. We talked a little bit about Cling to Dust earlier. An important card when your opponent's bringing in stuff like Phoenix of Ash.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I'm looking at from Luis's sideboard is there's not a ton of escape. Like, I can imagine this was not a matchup where they're like, okay, we are fully prepared for this. We want to play against rogues round after round. 2 Phoenix of Ash does not say that to me, you know, and only 1 dispute. I guess there is a glimpse of freedom here. That helps a little bit. But only 1 dispute, and we got to remember this is a Yorion deck, so the consistency of trying to flip over some of these escape cards is not really there. So this is going to be a tricky one for Luis for sure.
Yeah, big difference between finding 2 in 60 rather than 2 in 80 here. Soaring Thought Thief's going to get the party started unless Luis Scott-Vargas calls the cops, makes a noise complaint, and the party is shut down before it's even begun. So that's Mystical Dispute taking care of a pretty potent threat. Look, you can't deny Soaring Thought Thief really does some work.
Yeah, it really does.
Shade. Sorry, Curry, go ahead. But I do want to talk about Skyclave Shade at some point because this is a sticky old threat that is going to be hard for Luis to deal with long term. Does he have exile effects?
Yeah, it doesn't really look like we have a lot of exile effects. And the smart thing with bringing that card in is a lot of the removal goes out from Luis's deck. You know, you can't just be stuck with a bunch of Cinderclasms in your deck when you're playing against rogues and, you know, Jean-Emmanuel is just casting into the story over and over. So it's a nice juke where Luis is taking out removal. So Jean-Emmanuel brings in creatures. Now, next game, we might even see kind of this mind game where now if, let's say, well, I guess if Jean-Emmanuel wins with the Skyclave, then it's just over. But even if we don't win with this, next game, Luis might want to respect these Skyclaves a little bit more and bring some more removal in. We might see Jean-Emmanuel Depraz take him out then. These are kind of the mind games that the best and the best play with each other in the Deckless tournament. Oh, hello.
One moment. Never mind exiling something. How about Yoink just stealing it? Oh, my goodness. Mind Flayer. Obviously a huge card that came to us in the Adventures of the Forgotten Realms, the D&D set. And anyone who's played D&D will know you don't mess with Mind Flayers, mate. And Jean-Emmanuel Depraz learning that the hard way here as he has his Skyclave Shade nicked by this 5-mana 3/3 Mind Control. You love to see it.
I do love to see it. I haven't seen that type of effect played in quite a while here, maybe since everybody's favorite card, Agent of Treachery. But the one thing with Mind Flare, it's probably not necessarily for this Rogues matchup, but I just think of it up against these Naya Adventure decks, Gruul Adventure, Winota, where, you know what piece of removal really kills that card? You know, Bone Crusher Giant doesn't hit it. The Giant Killers, other half doesn't kill Mind Flare as well. It seems like an insanely tough card to actually kill in those matchups. So might see that a little bit more in the day, or a little bit later in the day as well.
I mean, yeah, it's a cool card, and I'm really pleased to see it. But
yeah,
I mean, it does die to Doomblade. Let's be real here. And there are 2 copies of Power Word Kill and a Drown in the Loch here for Jean-Emmanuel Depraz. So, I mean, he'll probably be able to deal with the 3/3. But, hey, listen, I just love seeing these D&D cards, man. I've been playing D&D for... She's actually oh, man. You're in your 30s now, Corey,
huh?
right? You're in your 30s now. Like you start to say, I've been playing D&D for like 15 years. It's weird that I'm old enough to say that I've been playing something for 15 years. Don't love that. Anyway, do love D&D, do love Mind Flayer, even if it dies to removal here. It's super sweet. And look at that, stealing instead of the Soaring Thought. They're going to nick the Lurrus. A bit of an upgrade here.
It is a bit of an upgrade, and you know, I can age myself as well. I've been playing Magic more years than I have been not playing Magic at this point. So
wow,
you know, I get it. Yep.
Yeah, you've done it, man. I'm getting close. I'll tell you that. I'm getting close. All right. So Jean-Emmanuel Depraz clearing the board quite comfortably here with those removal spells. And look, you know, Luis Scott-Vargas, he's doing everything he can. He really is. But this is, as you mentioned, Corey, is it a nightmare matchup? It's a pretty tough one here for the American.
I think it's pretty much as close to a nightmare matchup as you can get. Even the Sultai ultimatum decks that were Yorion, they kind of have this similar vein where, you know, you don't want to play against Rogue, right? But at least those decks have a lot of Pelucranoses, even in the main. So they have these escape cards as an out, and then they have this just I win button in Emergent Ultimatum. Now it's a 7-mana blue card as well that gets disputed, but it's more of an immediate impact than a Kiora Best the Sea Gods. Like, Luis could resolve a Kiora Best. Oh no, the one
so gross, dude. So gross. Luis is ready for the Into the Story with the Disdainful Stroke, but Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, I'll do you one better. He's got the dispute. Now there's going to be a correct Kiora Best the Sea God. I mean, that's some good news for Luis at least. While the Frenchman's tapped out, down comes the big saga, but Luis is up against it here. Is this Kiora Best the Sea God going to be enough for him, Corey?
And that's the thing, is this 7-mana, you know, bomb spell to be able to play. You know what still happens with it? If they attack with that 8/8, you slap that Thieves Guild Enforcer down and block. You know, that's your big payoff, where a 1-drop is now trading for it. You know, so the payoffs is not the same as like Emergent Ultimatum and the other Yorion deck. And yeah, I want to bring some attention back to that dispute. You know, Luis went for that play knowing Jean-Emmanuel only had 1 dispute. He had a counterspell under wraps, but he was not able to beat counterspell plus dispute. So a rough one to try to play around, and I like just going for it from Luis's side.
I mean, he's got to do something, right? He's got to do something. Soaring Thought Thief comes in, of course, with flying. It's going to sail above the waving tentacles of that Kraken. But when the Kraken is answered so easily by a 1-drop, as you say, 1-drop that actually provides a bit of value, milling a couple of cards for Luis, as well as the Thieves Guild Enforcer comes into play. The fact that it has Death Touch just cleans up that 8/8 very nicely. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, not going to be the most powerful card to win this matchup. You know, Shark Typhoon is almost just a better threat. But we'll see here. And I gotta bring some attention to Luis. We kind of interviewed the players as what to look for in this match and what they wanted to avoid. Luis is just like, it's not a great matchup, and all I have to do is not let them resolve Into the Story. Hasn't done that so far. Has not stopped that from happening. And we even see from Jean-Emmanuel just decline playing this, 3rd or 4th Into the Story this turn. Like, that's when you know things are going very well for Jean-Emmanuel.
So there's the Thieves Guild Enforcer. A comfortable enough block here on the Kraken. It does have Death Touch, don't forget, the Enforcer. Yep. Given that, what do we call it? Reverse Threshold? I guess Reverse Threshold would be having 7 cards not in your graveyard.
Yeah, that'd be an empty graveyard, I guess, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Having minus 7 cards in your graveyard.
Reverse Threshold every round, Riley. Every round.
These good Enforcer triggers now with a second Soaring Thought Thief, a couple more cards, and that's going to be able to eat up both the Phoenix and trade off with the Kraken here, this block.
And we just see from Luis, you know, I mean, Mind Flayer as a follow-up, not a bad card to be playing at all, but we just see multiple answers for it.
And they always have it, man. It's interesting because, like, I'm pretty sure, look, I'm not 100% on this, but I'm reasonably sure in a game of Magic the Gathering, when you register a deck, you can only play 4 copies of a card that's non-basic, right? Apart from like Relentless Rats and Shadowborn Apostle, weird ones like that. Is that a rule?
Well, that's correct. That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so you can only play up to 4 copies of any non-basic card. Right, okay. It is interesting because it seems like Rogues players always just have 7, 10, 14 copies of Drown the Loch. They just always have it, man.
Yeah, that is the one clause. You know, that is the one deck that is allowed to play more.
Oh,
you didn't get that memo?
That's the hidden. That's the hidden flavor text on Drown the Loch. It's like Relentless Rats. You can just play as many copies of that sucker as you want. No, of course you can't. But it does certainly feel like it. They do a lot of the time. We're going to see Petty Theft remove this Soaring Thought Thief for now, and still the Phoenix dies this time to the power word kill. Board once again clear for Luis Scott-Vargas, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, doing a very good job of taking care of business here. And there is that into the story. That is into the story number 3.
Yeah, I think 3 in the match so far, the course of 2 games. We got another one wrapped up there. And that is the one card that I always feel when I'm playing against these rogue decks. Into the stories, travel in pairs. It is so easy to find another one when you're drawing 5 cards a turn. It's just disgusting.
Oh, the rich get richer. That's all it is, man. You know, you cast a Sphinx Revelation, you draw another one. You cast it into the story, you draw another one. It's unbelievable. Temple of Deceit keeps a card on top. You hate to see that if you're a fan of LSV, who finds another Kiora Best the Sea God. This one's going to snag, the one that's on the battlefield is going to snag that 2/3.
Yeah, not bad.
It looks like it'll be Phoenix of Ash coming back from beyond the grave. Ooh.
And here's the thing. I just saw a glance over of how many cards that Luis has in graveyard. It's still like 19. So plenty of cards to be able to escape. But that also means the escaping is not going to do exactly what you want it to do. And that's that is shutting off into the story. That's shutting off Thieves Guild Enforcer and Soaring Thought Thief from getting power boosts. It's just not going to do that for a long time. So Luis is in this kind of rough spot where, he gets to cast a spell every single turn, but Jean-Emmanuel is drawing so many more cards that not really able to keep up with all the answers that Jean-Emmanuel is drawing.
Another Soaring Thought Thief here. Brazen Borrower in response to make sure that resolves while the Rogues player is tapped out. So once again, Luis Scott-Vargas doing a good job of playing to the board here, but it's not really what's on the board that matters so much as how many cards Jean-Emmanuel has in hand compared to Luis. 2 cards, both of them clunky. There are the Phoenices, but against what Depraz has in terms of interaction, it's going to be very, very tough. The American Hall of Fame.
Yeah, very true. But, simultaneously, these Phoenix of Ashes are coming down every single turn. And not just that, they're attacking on the same turn. And Jean-Emmanuel's at 8. Jean-Emmanuel Depraz was in the driver's seat here, really pressuring Luis. But Luis has stabilized. And all of a sudden, the tilt has shifted where Luis is the aggressor now. So this game is looking pretty decent for him as of now. But if Jean-Emmanuel is given enough time, we'll be able to play out of this with Agadeem's Awakening, bringing back Lurrus, a bunch of other creatures, with the end of the story, drawing more cards. Why not a 1-mana divination of one mind as well? We're going to be able to get there if the time is there.
It's not often that you say, well, if, the longer the game goes, the less favor the control deck is, but that is kind of the world we live in here. Skyclave Shade can't block, so it's not going to do anything to shore up the ground. Even having said that, Luis Scott-Vargas 3 flyers at the moment here.
Yeah, pretty interesting to be playing that. Just means that, we're going to have 2 extra mana left over at the end of the turn. We got 5 to play with this turn. Just kind of screams out Thieves Guild Enforcer plus double Drown in the Loch. And is that good enough this turn? We're going to find out.
So Phoenix of Ash. Man, that's a cheap escape cost, isn't it? It's not like Pelucranos or something. Phoenix of Ash comes back very quickly. And look at this as well. The Brazen Borrower, a 4-1 because of that Soaring Thought Thief. How the turns table.
Yeah, no kidding. Got him there. You mill 2 cards, actually. Who's the mill deck now?
And no terrific blocks. You can trade off this Soaring Thought Thief for the Brazen Borrower, but you're still taking 6 go to 2. And targeting those Phoenices with removal spells, it's not the greatest feeling in the world. They'll just come back around again.
Yeah, exactly. And, right now, even if we block the Brazen Borrower, Luis can threaten lethal by pumping Phoenix of Ash. Now, we know that's not necessarily going to work, and I'm sure Luis has a good idea of that as well, so probably won't go for it. You do lose a bit of tempo, and then you're not allowed to, let's say, like a nice play Luis would have if he didn't go for a pump is Field of Ruining any land. You know, there's no creature land on Depraz's side, and then getting another red source, so that makes 4 red sources, still being able to play the Omen, and then you could do something like double Escape Phoenix on one of these turns, and that could be a big sequence here. So I doubt we would see a pump, and I think even Jean-Emmanuel's like, yeah, it's Luis Scott-Vargas. He's not going to fall for that. I just got to kill stuff right now.
So Drown the Loft targeting Soaring Thought Thief. That's the one that was nicked by the Curabest, the Sea God.
Wow. Yeah, kind of tempting. I think really tempting Luis to be like, I'm going to use this one removal spell on this creature. I hope you want to go for it. You want to go for it? And Luis too smart for that.
An old campaigner. He's not going to fall for a trap so easily set. And
Yeah,
does have that line. Does have that line with the Field of Ruin that you mentioned here, which he may and probably will take, having. He's kind of constrained on red mana, not hugely. I mean, triple red's still pretty good, but having quad red with 2 Phoenix is certainly a good place to be.
Exactly. And I mean, with both Phoenix of Ash in play, it's pretty unlikely that you would have to escape both of them next turn, but it's still something to have, you know, in the holster here. We also see that Hall of the Storm Giants there, that extremely powerful creature land. Comes up to a 7/7, only had 2, so it's not that important, but still.
Is that the biggest creature land ever printed? Is it the biggest creature land ever printed? Like, I'm not talking about a Raging Ravine that has 10,000 counters on it. Like, is that the biggest at the time that it's activated?
God, you know, I think you might be right on that. I'm going to count Dark Depths.
My very big brain here. No, Dark Depths. Dark Depths.
That's a 2020, buddy.
Nah.
20. Yeah, what about Lair of the Hydra? You can activate that one for 8.
Nah. Hall of the Storm Giants takes it out.
All right.
That's it.
You win this time, Riley.
Easy. No, I'm not accepting. There are people in the chat suggesting things like Westvale Abbey.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a 9/7. Yeah.
No, I'm not that. I'm looking for stuff. You go to scryfall.com. You type in creature land. Those are the ones that count. All right. I'm going to see in response to this. Agadeem's Awakening has to try to find an answer to it. Does not. Cinderclasm and a temple on top here for Luis. He could bottom both and try to find that disdainful stroke on top, but he's playing with fire.
Yeah, and it's not even going to work. Even if we find it, we do see that Drown in the Loch, but, you know, even if we get back Luris and we get back Soaring Thought Thief, this Mind Flare...
That's it. Kabam!
That was the game. Look at that. That was the game right there, because you get to Disdainful Stroke this. Now this Drown in the Loch has to counter this, and then Mind Flare to be able to take one of these flying blockers. You know, it looks like, there's going to be a Soaring Thought Thief as one flying blocker. You get to play this Wind Robber as the second one. Mind Flare takes one of them and attacks. Of course, in a game 3 here, we're in a game that did not look good for Luis at all.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Off the top there. Like an absolute champion finds the card that got him out of that pickle, and now... Is it going to be, Corey, Mind Flayer, the card that we were sort of, look at him, he's having a go, isn't it cute, the Mind Flayer? They're actually going to win this game here for Luis Scott-Vargas. It's an incredible scene here.
Mind Flare is not what I was expecting to see as a game-winning spell for round 1 of this gauntlet.
Not against bloody rogues as well. Mind Flayer confirmed best card in Standard. Oh my goodness me. Where they're like, Luis, well, he's gone soft. He's keeping in the Mind Flayers. What's he doing? That card's so bad. He's like, no, he's going to win the game. Don't even worry about it. Well, we're all here to learn something from a master. And what a game that was. I mean, he was up against the ropes, man, wasn't he, Luis? Jean-Emmanuel Depraz just feeding him the left and the right there, taking all these body blows, but he turns around, Luis Scott-Vargas, and he threaded the needle, found the way out. Such impressive stuff from him there.
There was a point in that game, Riley, where Jean-Emmanuel Depraz was considering not blocking the 8/8 Kraken with his Thieves Guild Enforcer to just try to close the game out. That's how far ahead Jean-Emmanuel does. Normally, if you ever get a chance to kill that giant Kraken, you take it, right? And Jean-Emmanuel was like, I think I can beat it, but just to be safe, I guess I'll block. That's how far ahead he was in that game. So a nice comeback there from Luis.
I'm loving this. This what's happening right here is something that is it's so funny. You see this when teaching a new player how to play Magic, right? Because they're always playing everything at sorcery speed. They'll like Titanic growth, main phase 1, and then attack you. Like, no, just wait, do it instant speed. They'll Doomblade, in their second man. No, just wait, man. You might get another KO out of them.
Riley, so don't tell everyone about my plays, dude. Okay, those were private games between me and you, man.
You teach people to use instants at the latest moment possible, right? But then it comes back around. It comes back around in a circle. In the opening turns of this game, we saw sorcery speed, main phase, flash, Soaring Thought Thief. Back to Luis Scott-Vargas, who then plays an instant Scorching Dragonfire in the main phase. Back to the Frenchman. Well, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz plays another main phase 1/3 flash. Like, oh, come on, we're trying to teach people how to play here, man. Come on.
Exactly. Well, I mean, to be fair, game 1, we saw the old Jwari Disruption get Jean-Emmanuel. For the rest of the day, he's like, that's not happening to me again. I promise.
Oh, my goodness. All right, Cinderclasm here. This isn't going to be too bad, you'd think. Taking out that Thieves Guild Enforcer.
And it's going to be very important how many cards we got. Okay, that's 6. This attack makes it to 8. So if Jean-Emmanuel has the soul read here that that Luis does not have a dispute or a stroke, could just go land into the story here. It's very risky because if it is there, you get extremely punished. But let's say this Omen gets cast, we're probably going to see into the story right now. It's just too good.
Oh, this is going to sting, man. This is going to sting. No.
Yeah, we'll see if he goes for it, because that's the thing is, I think you almost have to.
You have
just
to,
because,
right?
yeah, because Phoenix of Ash can get rid of the card, so you have